Welcome back to Lower Keys Living, everybody. Most days we've got beautiful tropical waters down here. It is lovely, but we get a lot of stormy weather. Our warm, moist tropical air lends for sudden weather changes. So part of my preparations every time I go on the water is looking at the wind direction, wind speed, what's the weather forecast, and deciding is it safe to go out on the water at all, or do I need to alter my plans and go someplace either on the Gulf side, Atlantic side, or stick to the bays. So just because it's windy out doesn't mean there's not some nice places to go down here. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you some of the steps that I take when I'm preparing to go out on the water each and every time I go out on the water. So hopefully you find this information helpful, makes things easy for your planning your day on the water, and hopefully you can avoid ending up like this guy on your trip out on the water down here. Stay tuned and let's get into it. All right, getting right into it. I live on this website, windfinder.com, and it works anywhere in the country when you're on the water. And what I really like about this and this format of it is these wind currents are actually animated so you can see which way the wind is going. And this was, I've been looking at this for a while, and things were looking good for Sunday afternoon. But I started looking hourly and what the forecast were on Saturday. So on Saturday at 7 o'clock, the winds were at 18 knots coming out of the north, which from the Gulf side, this is the Gulf of Mexico up in here. But at that speed, the inshore waters are pretty well protected from all of the keys, the islands in here. So 18 miles an hour, going to be white chop, a lot of white caps, a lot of choppy water. But still inshore would not be too bad. Probably the max that I like to go, that I'm willing to go out in is 18 knots. But this was Saturday evening. Then on Sunday morning, wind had picked up, was forecast to pick up a little bit to 20, still coming out of the north, so the inshore waters are going to be somewhat protected. And the nice thing is knowing the wind is coming this way, when the wind dies down, everything in here is going to flatten out pretty quick. If you don't know the term, but fetch is the distance the wind travels over the water. So you can see out here, there's a lot of uninterrupted distance. So coming across here, the waves, the chopping enough time to really build up. But coming in here, it's broken up. So really a short distance for waves to build with that wind. So those inshore waters are pretty well protected. But again, 20 knots, it's still going to be choppy and really white water, even just a mile or two offshore. So would not go out in 20-mile-an-hour winds. But you can see by noon on Saturday, the winds are starting to lay down, looking much better. And then by 2 o'clock, we're at 13 miles an hour. Whitecaps start at 13, winds of 13 miles an hour. So inshore here, I'm figuring this is going to be pretty protected. And as I looked ahead, it's going to keep, the wind speed was forecast to keep dropping. So I started planning on heading out around 2:30, knowing that if it started dropping down below 13 miles an hour by 2 o'clock, white caps are going to be gone, and this water in here is going to really start to flatten out nicely. The next time I looked, Sunday at 3 p.m., the forecast was for 10 miles per hour. So when I saw this really gave me the green light to head out at 2:30, and the wind was just going to forecast to just keep dying. And you can see here by 5 o'clock down to 6 miles per hour. This purple section is really low wind speed, was heading towards us. So knowing we're going to have a great evening out on the water. So I did leave the dock at 2:30 p.m. It was a little choppy and bouncy heading out, but was not too bad at all. The next thing I look at NOAA's marine forecast to see are there small craft advisories. This was in effect for Saturday night. And reading that, and what I was looking for was late Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. And here, wind 5 to 10 knots, and seas 1 to 2 feet. It was actually really smooth water, flat water on the way back, and a little choppy on the way out, but was not bad, but right on forecast. But I always check this to make sure everything is looking good for when I'm planning on going out. Then the next thing I check is the weather radar. This was Sunday morning, and I usually scan it for a few hours. Down here, it's very common for us to have big thunderstorms pop up with our warm, moist air and hot weather, but Weather's been cooler. It was 71 degrees today. Water temperatures right around the same mark. When it's hot and not a lot of wind, we do get a lot of pop-up thunderstorms, especially coming off the warm landmass here in Cuba. They will start blowing up, and our typical wind direction is coming up from these directions. So we get a lot of those thunderstorms popping up out here. So I checked the weather forecast, the radar, to make sure we're not seeing any of that happening. And definitely everything was looking all clear here for that. Then the next thing I check is where the Gulf Stream is, especially when I'm out targeting larger game fish. If I'm not finding anything really close in, I'll look to see where that edge of the Gulf Stream is, because it usually carries a lot of good fish. I'm not finding it anywhere else. I'll head out to the edge of the Gulf Stream. But on this particular day, you can see it was 31 miles out south of Lue Cay. So Lue Cay is out here, and it's another 31 miles past. I was not going out that far that late in the evening or late in the afternoon and try and make it back at a reasonable time. So that was out of the question. Every once in a while it'll be just a few miles south of Lue Cay or the American Shoals Lighthouse. Makes a nice easy run out to find that, but I always check. I like to know where the leading edge of the Gulf Stream is. And to find those, that information, what we're looking for here in the Lower Keys are these two sections in here. So from the west end of the 7 Mile Bridge to Half Moon Shoals, which are just off the Marquises west of Key West. So you got the Hawk Channel out in this area, you've got the near Gulf Shores on this side, and then the deeper water out here by the ledge and out where the Gulf Stream is. So when you're on this, it's weather.gov/key/marine, and you're looking for coastal waters of the Florida Keys. And that's this one right here. And then if you want to find the Gulf Stream, that Gulf Stream graphic is right here all on the same page. So weather.gov/key/marine, that's where to go to find this information and get some more detailed, and then windfinder.com. Hope this information helps you. I'm going to show you what the run out looked like here and where we went fishing, and had a really good night, but you have to stay tuned for next week's episode to see what we got tonight out on the water. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week on Lower Keys Living. So this is the run out, just about 3 o'clock. You can see it's still a little bit of chop on the water, but the whitecaps have gone. And I just love our turquoise blue waters inside Hawk Channel in the shallower waters. You're going to have to stay tuned next week. This is where I was fishing and trolling today. I'll show you what we got and why I come to the spot. And then this is the run back in a little after 5:30, and it's just a sheet of glass, got the throttles down, and just enjoying the evening. So a well-planned trip. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on Lower Keys Living.